runs are getting produced at a higher rate. I don't know that for a fact, but I would bet money on it.
Absolutely.
Right? So, if you're up 4 or 5 runs in today's game, is a lot different than being up 4 or 5 runs in 1950.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, the game is evolving in a lot of different ways with analytics and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, is it not to win the game?
I'm playing to win the game.
If I'm on the field, I'm playing to win.
Yep.
You know, and on top of that, if you're playing a 3-game series or a 5-game series or the 7-game World Series, don't you want to keep scoring and get in that bullpen, keep bringing arms out, keep blowing arms out? Like, that's what the idea is, right? So I didn't understand the problem that they had with it. I think their manager and some of those guys had issues with you guys bunting in those situations. And at the end of the day, like I tell our club and you tell your club, we worry about what we're doing, let them do their thing.
Right.
And that should be the same for everybody.
Hey, Florence Nation. This is Brian White, episode 4 of the Player Development Show. Got Dennis Pelfrey to my right, Chad Rose to my left. Surely you are a little bit familiar with them by this point. If not, pitching coordinator, manager of the Freedom right here. We'll walk y'all through this previous week, what we saw pitching-wise, hitting-wise, in our matchup. Close the series with us at the end of the show. So let Chad take it over from here again.
Why does he always start?
Because of the pitchers, man.
Yeah, I guess
You're
They're
right.
always first.
We got the ball in hand.
Non-athletes
They're
first.
always
Here we go.
first.
Here we go.
I don't know about that. There's a couple of guys I want to hit on for this week. Really talk about some new guys that we've had, because I think we give everybody a little bit of love so far. We're right in the middle of the season, so the plans are starting to shift a little bit. We're starting to see some growth. Some guys are able to do some things they weren't able to do at the beginning. We can pitch a little bit more now.
The hands-off approach, too, with you was pretty solid this week.
I like to stay back, and I've had some good conversation with some catchers this week. I actually had a conversation with Rich this morning. He came in to catch bullpens, and it's more about letting the guys right now. They're at to the point where I need to see them throw what they want to throw and fail. I have to have them fail because I have to see what's worth putting a down payment for success later on. If catchers are calling pitches and we're working a game and a game plan to try and not let them get hit, it's like, well, you're doing him a disservice, because he needs to learn through experience throwing pitches that, hey, we could talk about it after. That was a wrong pitch to throw in that situation, in that count. And you have to learn how to pitch to the count. And the pitchers need to learn that too. And so the passing responsibility back and forth we saw a little bit. Catchers not necessarily knowing what the fingers to put down, and the pitchers passing off responsibility, not wanting to shake and just going with what the catcher's calling. I don't like either way of that, because I know that means if he's not shaking, he doesn't trust himself to take responsibility for the pitches he throws. And we've been preaching that all week. It's really kind of a big point and a focus of this past week was take responsibility for the pitches you throw. The ball's in your hand. Yeah. You need to be able to know what you're doing and why. But I do want to hit on some new guys before we get into the series with you guys. It's fresh on my mind. And when I was up there in the booth, I got to do the play-by-play. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
it was pretty sweet.
It was good.
And so starting with that one, I do want to hit on some new arms. We had Drew Rahm. That is his first debut yesterday with the Florence.
He was with us.
He was with the Alls, pitching against a tough lineup on the Freedom side. The adrenaline kind of, I thought, got a hold of him a little bit. He's got a live arm. He's a prospect. He's going to be a dude.
It comes out.
It comes out clean. It's nice. And I don't necessarily think that he fully understood and knew what he was getting into. I think you guys could see that probably on his face. After, he saw the crowd, he knew there's going to be people there. He knew the environment he was going to be in. He knew the type of level that some of the players are at, especially on the Lexington side. He's chomping at the bit to get over there and pitching the dirt at a stadium that he pitched high school state at a couple times, he was saying. So that's going to feel like home to him. I did talk to him this morning, and I know he was feeling a little shaky about it. He had to sit there and wear it. He got to his limit a little bit earlier than he wanted to get to it because he couldn't have that fastball command.
Sure.
But he did some things, man, and he did some that pros do that have that next level. He did walk the bases loaded in that first inning, but he struck out the side, and he had feel. He had a little bit of feel with his breaking ball, his slider. He can get that over whenever he wanted. So he was never really in danger there, and you saw him get out of that against a really tough heart of the lineup.
Yeah.
When he was on the ropes.
Yeah.
He got tagged for a couple runs because he ran out of his count with the bases loaded in the second. Had to pull him out because he did hit his limit and weren't able to make a pitch right there in that situation. And he got tagged with a couple of those runs. So you could look at the line and say, you look at his line and maybe he didn't pitch so hot. But it was one of those things I knew going into it that he needed to be aware of where he was really at in competition. He was really wanting to compete. But the work leading up to now, I can't necessarily say it was fine-tuned. It was fine-tuned enough to know that I got my fastball command when I need it. I can really step on it when I go after somebody and use all my toys based off my fastball command. That necessarily wasn't there. He had to go to his toys and deep reach in his bag and counts that he probably didn't want to and he wouldn't do when he's rolling. He took that in stride. He's ready to get back on the dirt and pitch in Lexington this week. He's going to be on a 6-day rotation. He's going to be fun to watch. You want to watch him every 6 days. He's going to be pitching there predominantly. He's going to school there. But if it lines up on his 6th day to pitch here, he's going to be here. I'm excited to watch him. He's going to be really good. He's going to show some flashes. What did you see out of him when he was in your dugout and kind of on the mound? Because his arm is live.
Right. Yeah, it's obviously out of the hand, the fastball, you could tell had another level that a lot of these guys haven't seen really at this point. Maybe a couple of arms here. But again, it was the fastball command that got him in trouble most of the parts. They got him in deep counts, bad situations. But was able to throw that breaking ball whenever he wanted to, so they kept it in the back of the hitter's heads to where he did get some swings and misses on some bad fastballs up in the zone after establishing that breaking ball for a strike. So that did help him out, having that curveball in there. Presence in the dugout, obviously he's a little down on himself. You could tell that he didn't have the outing that he was expecting to have. Not something that he didn't want, but he was able to work around it, able to almost get out of it in that situation. As rough of an outing as it was for him, he was still able to go through his gauntlet of a lineup and almost got out of that with 2 innings of clean work. Yep. So there's some positives to take from it. There's some negatives also, but that's what he's here for, right? That's what we're doing this thing for, is for these guys to learn and to get better and to understand what he really can become, hopefully one day. That fastball command is there, but again, we've seen him one time. We'll see what he bounces back and looks like the next time.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
our guys in our dugout, I mean, they obviously knew who he was and what he was coming in, and I mean, they were lurking over there. They were wanting it. They were wanting that challenge, and and obviously, when he did find the zone and get in the zone, he was very tough to hit, and our guys just took advantage of those walks and not swinging at bad pitches early on, and did that to him. But the one thing that I keep repeating every time we have this show or every time we talk is people do not realize how good this thing is we're doing. And, a guy like that coming in had a phenomenal year last year in a couple different levels, right?
95 innings, 120 punch outs, 80 hits against.
Just came in and dominated. Guys older than him, and so he's obviously confident in himself, and he's going to come in here and think that, he's going to be able to just cruise through a little bit, and which was really good for him, I think, in his development, in his career, to be able to have a little, not necessarily a humbling moment, but understanding, like, you got to be locked in when you're coming into any kind of environment.
Another new guy we had come in this week, and I do want to ask, we'll talk about how we get some of these players that want to come in. I know people are wanting to know, like, hey, where these guys just come in? You guys pulling these dudes? And are the guys or guys calling in? But Jesse Remington was a guy. We've seen him before. He's smooth little lefty. He pitched for you over in Lexington.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a simple delivery, but he wants to make it complex. We talk about making things more simple. It is way more simple than these guys make it, and he kind of wants to get a little bit, on the strength side of it and talk about his hips and talk about things when it's like, don't go to the end result. You're talking about symptoms. We're not fixing symptoms or putting Band-Aids on stuff. Let's get back to the root and the core of things, and it's really in the setup and getting his hands out on time. That way he can really work through the ball. And we saw the other day, there was a bat against Harry. Harry got him, and I think it was one of those where I saw exactly who he was. He was focused on his delivery a little bit. He tried to ram Harry, and then he tried to use his breaking ball to get back over, and he did. And then we could see it. We were up there talking about it. I was like, oh, be careful, because he showed a little bit of passivity. And I'm not going to say he's timid on the mound, but I think that not feeling good in his delivery and wanting to be perfect and make perfect pitches took away from really just buying into the competitiveness.
Conviction of it,
And he got whacked. I mean, he got tagged with a big homer right there. But he came back and finished that up. I like him. I like where he's at. And I am trying to get him to focus on pitching a little bit more than he is on his body and where his body's and what he's doing in space. Like, that's what we do off to the side. We do that off to the side every single day. That's why throwing program's important, and that's why our bullpen focus has got to be important. It's not a drill session. I'm not trying to get my body and be so compartmentalized in my delivery. I want to be able to smooth that out, and he's going to get there. I like where he's at because he does work. He's not a bad dude. He's a solid dude. He's had really good work ethic. He takes care of himself. He's going to get better and better, and he likes where he's at, buying in and freeing it up. I mean, you know him a little bit in the past. You've seen him. What do you got on Jesse? Because you brought him in. He reached out to you.
Right. I mean, you're pretty spot on that, and I think we've always seen the passiveness in him a little bit on the mound. It's not completely. He's not scared once he gets on the mound, but it's that. He likes that little bit of convention that you're talking about.
Second guessing, right?
Yeah, that's what I feel like, and I think with him, I don't know. I'm just completely guessing. I haven't talked to him about this, but I'm assuming since he's not a firm thrower, he's not a hard throwing lefty, that he thinks that he has to be perfect on these spots and he has to be perfect in these counts and these pitches and these sequences. And in all reality, you can hit your spots 10 times out of 10, but there's no 100% conviction behind that. It doesn't do you any good. So I would much rather see him. What I hope he can grow from this season is finding that conviction and being okay with leaving a ball down the middle with that intent behind it, and then hopefully open his eyes up to what he can actually do with that conviction. And even though the balls are over the plate, but the conviction is going to take care of the rest versus him trying to be perfect, dotting up perfect pitches with a good breaking ball, and then obviously all the biomechanics behind that. I'd rather just see him compete and have that full go at it, and let's just see what happens.
I mean, I tell him, watch BP. I could throw 10 balls down the middle to the best hitter in our lineup, and he may get 3 hits.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? So
I'll tell him, there you go.
It's not necessarily about the location of the pitch, it's conviction of
right.
it and understanding that I'm the dude. I'm going to control that emptiness we talk
Absolutely.
about between the mound and the plate, and and just get after it, baby. Just get after it and compete.
Absolutely. Because we always have guys that come in that are under 85 miles an hour a lot.
They do well.
And they can get outs, but they know how to do it. Then you get guys that come in 93, 95 with no conviction and can't work counts or command the fastball. You see how the two how they pretty much fall apart in that situation. But
I like
that's what I want to see.
His fastball actually plays pretty well.
It does.
It's
does.
smooth. It comes out.
Nice.
He's 6 to 8, and he's going to touch some 9s, probably some 90s. It comes out nice and clean, and it's the mix, but it is the conviction and the intent to finish it. We talked about that with McDonald, too. I don't want to hit on him a whole lot. We talked about him last week and covered him. But it was same thing this week. The second outing, had a little trying to feel for the zone. And it was, hey, we need to trust our finish all the way through. Trust your fingers and really we're not guiding this. But really trust to throw it through the zone, not to a spot in the zone. And when he started doing that, it was nasty. The same thing for Remington.
Yeah.
It's just get on the backside. We got to be able to backside ride it out. That way we can transfer and we can finish with conviction through the end and drive our pitches, not think so much of what we're doing and our delivery at the top, leaking, hands getting out late. And then it's a muscle, and it's like, I hope it's going to be close to where I want. And so I've seen that a little bit, but he's going to smooth out.
Tell me how it is like as a starter. This, to me, in my opinion, how I think about it, it has to be tough. It really does, because you go out on, let's just say you go out and throw on Sunday, and you don't have the game that you wanted, or your velo is not what you thought it would be. You got to wait 5 days to throw again.
Yep.
Like, how do those guys get through that?
Well, the best ones have self-evaluation skills, really good self-evaluation skills. So they're not going to hold that against them. They're going to sit back and they're going to assess it, and they're going to reframe the outing and see what worked in their game plan and what didn't. They're going to go back to the drawing board not knowing that my results were negative and I gave up a lot of hits or gave up a lot of runs or missed a lot of pitches or couldn't get my fastball over. They're going to see what didn't work. They're going to go back and assess the at-bats, if they attacked properly, if they executed some pitches. And right now it's kind of we're in that stage of these players where more the A-ball level on most of the pitching side, where it's the self-evaluation skills are still not something they deem as important, and so they don't really put a lot of focus in really going back and looking through their outings, because they don't want to go back and see the big hits they gave up, or this was a call, it should have been made. It's not about that. It's about being able to see yourself, what you are, and how much did you actually be you.
Yeah.
We talked about this week building a routine in the bullpen and building routines that fit your stuff, blocking off your bullpens and having a rhyme and a reason for the pitches you throw. I mean, are you working consistently on your pitches in the bullpen that you hit in games and combos that you hit in games? That's really the first part of being a good self-evaluator is there a routine? Is there a rhyme and reason to what you're doing? Or is it just you're shaping this breaking ball, you don't like that shape, so you try more effort, and I hit on it. And I was like, well, you completely change your delivery just to hit on that one pitch, and it's not going to play off your fastball. It's not really going to help you, but you do you know.
Yeah.
So I don't really dictate what they're doing out there. I do watch and I do track it and make sure that.
Well, they can go back and watch all these games too, and
100%.
watch themselves from a different standpoint. You know, with what Brody's doing with the broadcasting. I mean, you can go in there and watch every game. I mean, it's not the greatest video in the world, but you can see how you're attacking guys, what you look like, and be able to evaluate. So the tool we're giving them here, obviously, is something that's going to tie right into what you're trying to get them to do.
You can check out the ones that Cheek chops up and puts on there because it's the angle right there is that big league angle. You can see if that pitch was actually down when you thought it was down, or was it mid-thigh? There's a difference between mid-thigh and knees. I mean, there's 4 or 5 inches. That's a big difference. It went down. You know? So you can really go back and see that. Most guys don't like to go back and do that. That's the reason.
And I just want to kind of touch on the catching on my side a little bit, and kind of the different dynamic that they're bringing. We got Lucas Owens, not Jackson Owens, which was the battle yesterday too. Owens versus Owens, and it was 1-1. But Lucas Owens, Marshall Rich. For some reason, I call him Rich Hill all the time. I'm not real sure why, but Marshall Rich. And then Cam Day Suggs is our third guy, kind of emergency guy. And just kind of talk about the dynamic of how I'm working those guys and what we're trying to do. So really early on, it was kind of splitting games. Then it got to where we were doing this guy's catching this game, next day it's this guy, and now we're getting to the point now where we're gonna finish the season with a guy that's standing out a little bit. You know, and you'll find out who that is this week. But Lucas Owens, you know, and Marshall Rich, 2 different types of guys, smaller catcher guys that very quick and kind of able to move around behind the plate a little bit more, where umpires can see a little bit better and things like that. But Lucas has done a great job so far as pitch calling. I think he's on the same page with most of the arms that's coming in. Obviously, guys catching for the first time, they seem to fall into a pretty good patterns and sequences pretty quickly.
Improvising is kind of the only thing. Right. That's the only thing I think we need to work on. Improvise and kind of when the plan is like, well, you keep filing off it, and I know you guys don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You got to improvise.
You got to improvise. Because nothing ever. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Nothing is ever 100%. I could tell you, all day that hey, I don't want to see a 2-2 breaking ball, but there's a time for a 2-2 breaking ball. Not, you know what I mean? So it's just a matter of them figuring that out, and that's what I love about how we do it too. Is we don't call the pitches for the catchers. We want them to learn and fail a little bit and be able to talk to them about it and them be able to retain it. So Lucas is doing a good job at the plate. I mean, he's had very good at-bats. He had a really good at-bat against Robbie Ross, who's, he's one of the toughest lefties that we've seen for sure.
He is the toughest lefty.
But, and that guy's working to try to get himself back in the big leagues, and I think he's there. But had a really good bat. Him the other ended up striking out, but the bat was really good. And for the past couple of days, this is the first time I've really seen him kind of get a little bit anxious in the box, coming off of it a little bit because some things weren't going his way maybe, and trying to do a little bit more. So hopefully he slips back in and starts having those really good at-bats again. Marshall Rich, I'm going to say he was a phenomenal 9-hole kind of surprise guy early in the season, just backside and barrels and, really energetic and, kind of speeding up a little bit with him mentally, because he is so energetic and he just wants everything now. So we've done a pretty good job of slowing it down with him and having some really good conversations. It's going to take a little longer with him because he does want the results and everything, and he wants to speed the game up himself, but he's kind of letting it speed up on him. So you can see kind of a little digression in him, and then I think over the next couple of weeks you're going to see him start to come back up and be a dude again. So
I think so.
He's had some good conversations with you the past couple of days as well. Cam Day Suggs has not caught a game yet for me, and kind of what I look at in Cameron is, he was with us a little bit last year as a bullpen catcher. Not that he can't do the job, but I think his value for any club is off the bench. He does a really good job of coming in.
Some big knocks with RBIs.
Late in the games, yes, huge RBIs and huge knocks in big situations. Coming off the bench, he prepares really well mentally. And I just want to, stress how important that is. I mean, have a guy that you can trust to come off the bench in a big spot. He did it, I think, against you the other day, and we pinch hit him. He singles down the right field line.
And he doesn't
drove in the only run we scored that night.
Yeah.
Drove in the only run. What's that?
Well, he doesn't. Nobody's necessarily going to like that role, but he takes it and he does it with such a professionalism.
Yes.
He shows up every day. He's early every single day. He helps out. He catches the bullpens. He's always working. He's always moving around. He's always ready. He's the perfect type of dude for that spot and to come in and have success in some of those spots and get some big knocks. He's a single up the middle, and we moved him over to that team one day.
The
other day. So it's like he's always ready, and he doesn't complain about it, and he's a solid dude to be around. I really like him.
Flies under the radar, and then boom, it hurts you a little bit. So that's just kind of want to get that out there a little bit about our catching situation and where we're heading over the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be a nice little battle here at the end to see who's going to be that's everyday kind of starter for us. But either way, the guys are learning and getting better in those things. So it's pretty sweet to see.
What else you got in the series?
I mean, I want to talk about just before our big series because that's the meat. We're trying to get through the vegetable side. I know Chad doesn't like the vegetable stuff.
A new lineup. On the road.
New lineup. And so we go to Lexington. We got the Legends and Brandon Phillips in town, on the team now, and his brother's managing that team. So it's very different scene down there. Obviously, day one, with adding a couple players into that lineup, and then day two, a couple other players, a couple other former big leaguers,
a couple arms,
brought some good arms in, which I really like because, obviously we've been taking it to the Lexington teams, and I don't think the Legends had beat us yet, so I really like the competition getting better. I really like that a lot, and obviously Brandon Phillips is going to bring more people to come see our guys play. You know what I mean? So I think that first night he got one hit on us, I think. Yeah, he got one hit. It was actually to tie the game late, so made it exciting.
Sean.
So his first night in town, we get to play the Pelfrey tiebreaker rule, and so it was pretty cool. And they chose to hit, which I was glad to have that happen, and we ended up slamming the door on them and winning another extra inning game. I think Florence is 4-0 in the extra inning games.
Sudden death.
So, but it was pretty cool to see. That atmosphere, and our guys didn't waver, and Clayton, I think, threw the first game and got to face Brandon Phillips. He was
Punch him out.
He was the first guy to face him. 3 fastballs, 82 to 87, just boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? So it was pretty nice. So he did not waver. None of our guys did facing him, but it was cool to see that. And it was really cool for our guys to get to play in front of a larger crowd too. We've had great crowds here in Florence, but it was cool to have that down there because they haven't had that yet. And but other than that, for the biggest thing for me is like they've got to bring in ringers to try to beat us, and they still didn't beat us that night. And they beat us game 2. Brandon Phillips hit 2 homers that night, and he was virtually all their offense. And we made a couple bad plays or whatever, but we get to see him again this weekend or next weekend coming up, and it might be a little different story. So
yeah, that game, because I was at that game. We talked about it. And I talked to Bernal after that. He started that, and he got kind of caught in a little bit of the. I think he was looking at the lineup, but he was also wanted to get stuck in practice mode and work on some stuff and I think he was trying to keep his mind off facing the lineup he was facing, and so he had a plan, and he stayed pretty fastball heavy. And he told me after, he's like, yeah, I was kind of stuck in practice mode over compete mode. And I was like, well, I know that. Some of the questions you were asking me before the game, getting ready about your delivery and stuff was kind of like, hey, we're about to face 3 out of 4 big leaguers in the top 4. And I was like, you get locked in to compete and have a plan. And he said that afterwards. So I'm excited to see him pitch against those guys again and see how he approaches and has a game plan. He did. He left one over the middle to Brandon. First pitch, got hit, came back in. We didn't get to use a lot of off speed, so. And then Lars came in right after that. It was the first pitch. He left back over the middle.
And the thing is, I'll talk about the Lars one. Lars gets the ground ball right before that with 2 outs. We make an error to bring up Phillips, and then he hits the 2-run homer. And, they coincidentally beat us by 1 run in that game. Or there's your difference right there if you want to look at that. I mean, did they beat us? Yes. They beat us at the end of the day. Were they better than us? No. We gave the game to them. We gave it to them. Even with the 2 homers, you count the 2 homers with Brandon Phillips and the 2-run homer by Sam Claycamp that nobody talks about.
Yeah, it was a
big homer.
Big homer. We went soft, made a bad pitch. Shouldn't have made.
He took advantage of it.
Took advantage of it.
2-run homer. Sam Claycamp was the guy that we were going to draft out of the draft for the tryout thing, and they just grabbed him before us. So good player, and he gets lost in that shuffle there with the 2 Brandon Phillips homers. But in that game, we had bases loaded, nobody out. And we ended up punch out. They brought in one of their ringer arms they brought in, and he did it to us and punched us all out. And then we had another situation where we had bases loaded, 1 out, and we hit a perfect ground ball with the fastest guy on our team right over the third base bag for a double play. He hits that same ball anywhere else on the field. We score a couple runs there and probably put the game away. So, but kudos to them. They did beat us, and I'm definitely looking forward to that matchup coming back.
They'll be here all week.
They'll be here all week.
Yeah, they'll be here. We got
them this weekend.
We got them during the week,
weekend.
and you'll have them over the weekend.
Yep.
The 6 games of Legends here.
Hopefully all those dudes come.
Yeah, we'll see. Our first series against the Leyendas, good defense all around pitching. Didn't give it too many walks. Played very, very clean defense. I think we only scored 2 runs in that total doubleheader. But that was the message I wanted to get across going into this week of how close we really are whenever we are able to play good defense and we are able to take care of the ball and throw it to the right bags and hit the cutoffs, planning ahead of every situation, and it opened up their eyes. And I think you saw too with our series, we did a very good job. First game, then game 2 and 3, which completely fell apart on taking care of the baseball, and you mix that in with the walks, it's a bad combination. No matter how good you hit, no matter how good you are on the bases, no matter how good your approach is, it's hard to win games whenever you're not taking care of the baseball or throwing a ton of strikes, I guess. So I was proud of my guys being able to see them do that in the first 3 games because we had issues with that early in the year. We were able to take care of that, and we only surrendered 3 total runs in the, how many innings total is that? 25 innings, I want to say, between the 3 games?
24, 15.
24, yeah, counting the extra inning.
Yeah.
24 total innings, so it was nice. I don't think we made but maybe 1 error the whole series. So that was the message I really want to get across to them, and it worked out beautifully. The fact that we're still able to win games whenever we're not on our game at the plate. We faced Logue, the best I've seen him this year so far, and he shoved it against us. But that we still had the chance to win the game with us being competitive on the defensive end and taking care of all the little things during the game. And we ended up getting a 0-0 tiebreaker rule, and we win. Simple as that.
Big matchup.
It was.
Bennett
It was going back and forth the entire night. We threatened a couple times throughout the game. They threatened a little bit more with the guys in scoring position. But at the end of the day, we made good pitches whenever we needed to, and we didn't mess up on the defensive end.
Game 3 just throttled them a little bit, right?
Game 3 put on a little bit.
I want to talk about Game 3.
You want to talk about Game 3?
I want to bring something up that.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean,
I agree, though.
Let's just get it out there because people don't talk about it. People always want to complain about it.
Right, because their emotions get in the way. They get a little frustrated, butthurt, whatever you want to say. Talking about Bunning in a 7-1 game in the 7th inning at the time. Still competing, still the game's on the line. They put up 10 runs back-to-back innings, or a total of 10 runs back-to-back innings against us the week before. And we're over here, and they think that we're disrespecting them by trying to us playing our game with Mitch Piotnik going to the plate.
And that's what I want to get the point.
Right.
Because it's not about the bunting up 7-1 or down 7-1 or whatever inning is. We can talk about the Tatis thing, the 3-0 swing, like all these things that people think disrespect the game. I think you disrespect the game when you don't utilize your tools and you let up.
Right, absolutely.
Because then you see guys that on pass balls don't advance bases because they're up 6 runs in the 8th. Like,
that's
to me,
more embarrassing.
That's
embarrassing to me if I'm in the other dugout.
This is not professional baseball because they're not getting paid, but it is professional baseball. These are all pros.
Right.
Like, this is what we're trying to get these guys, whether we're trying to get them contracts with professional clubs or they're currently under contract with professional clubs. So you're going to tell a guy, we can have examples all day long, but I think Luke Hayer is a guy for them that he hits a lot of home runs.
Right.
He's up there trying to hit home runs.
Not going to stop hitting home runs in the 7th inning.
So if you're up 7-1 in the 7th inning, he should stop hitting home runs. Maybe. Then you got Rodney Tenney or Mitch Piotnik or Brandon Pugh, who guys, bunting is a big part of their game. It's an arsenal for them. Right. And you're going to tell them to stop doing their thing? Like, I don't get it. I'm not saying Luke Hayer was saying not to do it or not, whatever, but
just the concept in general.
The concept in general. He's trying to hit a home run in the same situation, right?
Right.
He's trying to do what he does best in the same situation.
He's trying to help himself out, be good.
That's my problem with some of these things. I know when I'm managing the Freedom, in the Frontier League the past few years, we've always got into issues with teams because, let's face it, we lead the league, or we're top 3 in the league in stolen bases every single year. We steal bases. Right. That's how we create runs. We're up 8 runs in the 3rd inning against River City one year in 2017, and we steal a base, and they're all upset about it, and they hit a guy on purpose, so I tell the guy to steal base. It's the 3rd inning, baby. River City Rascals hit homer after homer, you know what I mean? Like,
beat us 20-5 several times.
There's so many, 7 spots put up in the individual innings in our league itself.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me, and it's not an old school thinking or a new school thinking. It's a baseball thing. The game has changed as far as run production.
Right.
There are more runs scored in today's game wherever you're at, whether it's T-ball, the Little League World Series. I know Jordan Brower gave up a home run to Profar or something like that. I mean, he's going to give up bombs, baby.
Pretty big
People are
bomb.
hitting home runs. Fields are smaller. Runs are getting produced at a higher rate. I don't know that for a fact, but I would bet money on it.
Absolutely.
Right? So, if you're up 4 or 5 runs in today's game, is a lot different than being up 4 or 5 runs in 1950.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, the game is evolving in a lot of different ways with analytics and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, is it not to win the game?
I'm playing
not
to win
winning
the
the
game.
game.
If I'm on the
playing
field,
to
I'm
bury
playing to
somebody.
win. Yep.
You know, and on top of that, if you're playing a 3-game series or a 5-game series or the 7-game World Series, don't you want to keep scoring and get in that bullpen, keep bringing arms out, keep blowing arms out? Like, that's what the idea
Absolutely.
is, right? So I didn't understand the problem that they had with it. I think their manager and some of those guys had issues with you guys bunting in those situations. And at the end of the day, like I tell our club and you tell your club, we worry about what we're doing, let them do their thing.
Right.
And that should be the same for everybody.
As
So
long
I
as
just-
you take
I
care of
wanted
your
to get that out
business
there.
and you're worried about yourself, nothing else really matters.
It's
If you
about
don't
the
like it,
pitching,
take
too.
care of your business. I mean,
It's like the pitch in the lopsided games. You know, we've talked about there's a difference as far as I'm going to attack. I mean, if I'm pitching a lopsided game, I'm up 10. But the pitchers, I tell them, is like, it's going on your career record.
Absolutely. It's your numbers. It's your career.
This is your inning. You need to go in there and to groove fastballs because people said you're up so much that you need to just throw fastballs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you need to pitch backwards and you need to throw your bastard pitches and try and wipe somebody out every single time. But I'm attacking with freedom and I'm attacking with my stuff and I'm going to pitch my game. I'm not going to change my game because of the course of it. It changes a little bit of my usage. I might throw more fastballs.
Sure.
And I might make you beat me by swinging it. Right. I'm not going to get there and pick and nibble and try and pitch backwards to get you to punch out and look stupid. It's like, but I'm not going to change because this is my inning in my career. Right. I was like, how many innings am I going to get? I don't know. So I'm not going to go out there and be like, I'm up a lot and I got to throw fastballs because we're up 10. No, I'm going to bury you. And if I got a chance to bury you and step on your throat when I got 2 strikes, I'm going to do that. It's my inning. It's my career. Nobody's going to tell me otherwise.